Hello my friends, and welcome back to another Brotato Danger 5 class guide, where I'm going to show you the easiest ways to win with the new characters from the Abyssal Terrors DLC. Today we're covering the Diver, which is probably my favorite of the new characters, except for the creature, which I just think is so much fun, and is the last of the class guides that I have not yet covered, so when I'm done this one, there will be a guide for every single class. If there's one you're struggling with, check it out. The Diver is a very cool character with a ton of text, but basically this boils down to enemies have vastly increased health. They have 3.5 times the normal amount of health that an enemy would have, but they take quadruple damage for 3 seconds after being hit by ranged damage. So if you debuff them by hitting them with ranged damage, that's anything that does ranged damage specifically, so not a shuriken, which does melee damage, you can see from the little sword here, then they will die slightly faster than an enemy would for a normal character. In addition to that, we do triple damage with, or increased damage with critical damage attacks from precise weapons, and get bonus crit chance and bonus regen from buying melee damage. So we have a ton of free stats, but enemies have a ton of extra health. We want to build as much damage as possible and not to focus on economy. So in my opinion, the best weapon for this character is the Thief Dagger. This will give us all the economy that we need and will allow us to just focus on building damage and use all of our free stats as well as possible. Now pull these enemies into me and try to get kills with the Thief Dagger here. One funny thing with the Diver is that on wave, because trees don't get debuffs, so if we have the ranged damage debuff that increases damage to enemies won't apply to a tree. So if a tree spawns on wave 1, don't kill it. You actually want to try to avoid attacking it, because if you waste damage on trying to kill the tree, that's damage that's not going towards getting you money and enemies. So unlike other characters, you'll get less money if you kill a tree on wave 1. Here, we're going to just take the attack speed. We just want to focus on anything that increases our clear speed and the likelihood of our Thief Daggers getting us kills. So we're just taking any damaging stat there. The number 1 priority is critical hit chance, because that gives us more money from Thief Daggers, and our crit chance is super important, so we're going to heavily prioritize buying that, like with this claw tree. But attack speed is also very good. We're going to pass on the plant here because we'll get all our regen by buying melee damage. We don't need to actually buy regen, and we'll take the Thief Dagger, but I will buy Corrupted Shard because Curse is so good to get early, and then see if we can lock another Thief Dagger. Thief Dagger is a very cheap weapon, so you should be able to find several of them in the opening shop, which increases our crit chance as much as possible so that we get more money from our daggers. That's our number 1 goal with this character. The idea behind playing this character is you want to get to the point where just from the increased critical damage, you're killing enemies, and you don't really need the bonus debuff from ranged damage. That's why we're going to focus on buying as many daggers as possible, on increasing our crit chance to 100% as quickly as possible, and on increasing our melee damage as much as possible. And then we won't have to worry about debuffing enemies, so because we do 4x critical damage, we do double the normal amount of critical damage. So it doesn't take that much increased damage for us to just kill everything really, really fast. We'll buy the Thief Dagger here, and then roll, and another dagger, and then roll, and I'm going to roll again to try to lock another dagger. Leveling these up increases our chance of getting money from them, so we're very happy with that. Let's go to the next wave here. We've got a bunch of good stuff locked. I would like to find, if possible, we would like to find just more crit chance. That's the number 1 stat for us. You'll often see the advice on the Diver to swap your ranged weapon to like a submachine gun to apply the debuff to more enemies. I actually have found that less effective than just sticking with the harpoon gun and focusing on getting our critical hit chance as high as possible. We can still swap to a submachine gun, and if this strategy isn't working for you, that's something that might be worth trying. But I have found that 5 daggers and the harpoon is actually the easiest way to win with this character in general. I'm going to take 2 melee damage here, because that also increases our regeneration, so we want to get that as quickly as possible. And then we will take the critical hit chance, and then we will buy the Thief Dagger. Although we do want to boost our melee damage, I'm actually not going to take the Hedgehog here. Buying melee damage at 50% scaling on Thief Daggers is not that efficient, and it doesn't give us regeneration, or rather it's break even for regeneration. So we're going to pass on Hedgehog just because it's super expensive and we don't need the ranged damage. I'm also going to pass on buying this SMG. Like I talked about, this is an alternative way to apply the debuff. But because SMG doesn't have piercing bullets natively, and the harpoon gun does, I tend to prefer the harpoon gun. You can also use shotgun in place of harpoon gun if you roll into one, or if you roll into another piercing weapon, then that is a totally reasonable alternative. But I've actually not found the SMG to be as good. I'm going to take the dagger here, and we'll take Cute Monkey as well. We don't use ranged damage at all, obviously, and more healing is good. Our goal is basically to get to the point where, combined with the debuff from our harpoon and our bonus critical hit damage, we one-shot the elite as soon as it spawns. And we're just going to use our incredibly improved economy from all the free stats that we're getting from the diver, and also just the way that the Thief Dagger works, giving us a bunch of money. In order to bootstrap our economy as far ahead as possible so that we can kill the elites really, really quickly. I did mess up that wave a little bit. I wanted to kill the tree and the second curse alien, but I didn't find where they had spawned until a little bit too late. I'm buying Claw Tree, of course, because this is just all the stats that we need. And then here we'll take 4 melee damage. Whenever you see melee damage or crit chance for this character, you should just buy it, because those are super high value for the diver. Thief Dagger and Cute Monkey, and then I could take Terrified Onion. We will need move speed, but the -5 luck is pretty painful, so I'm going to pass on that for now. I'm considering whether I want Spicy Sauce here. It's a very inefficient way to buy max health, but we do quite badly need max health. I think what I'm going to do is buy the Propeller Hat and pass on the Spicy Sauce, and then we will just focus on finding stats that we care about more, like the attack speed from the coffee. Also, I want to reroll pretty aggressively this wave, because we can, I want to reroll pretty aggressively this wave. I just, lost track of what I was saying there, because we're guaranteed to see one weapon in the shop here, and I want to level up my daggers. Here we could swap to the shotgun, and it probably would be correct to do that, but I want to show you that you can win with this character without having to find any specific other ranged weapon. So we can just use this one harpoon gun the entire game, and it's totally fine. There's no requirement to find a specific ranged weapon, like a slingshot that can bounce the debuff around, or a SMG or a shotgun. You can win without those. I think a lot of the guides out there and the strategies for this character rely on particular weapons showing up in the shop, which is not guaranteed or even that likely, because we just don't have those weapons to make them more likely to show up. So I just want to show you that even with bad shop luck, you can still win with this character very consistently. And see how much damage we're doing when we debuff an enemy and then critically hit it. We do 256 damage, which is ridiculous. And we still kill the trees or non-debuffed enemies quite quickly because our critical hit damage is so heavily increased. One thing that's worth noting for this character is that the additional critical hit damage that we get is additive. It's plus 200% damage. So if a weapon normally has more than ×2 critical damage, it won't benefit that heavily as heavily from the diver's buff. Because going from, let's say we're using Knife, which crits for ×4 by default, going from ×4 to ×6 is a 50% increase in your damage output. Going from ×2 to ×4, as we are with Thief Daggers, is a 100% increase in our damage output. So it's a lot more valuable, relatively speaking, when the weapon doesn't have a huge amount of critical hit damage built into it. Fertilizer is efficient enough that even though it costs me 1 melee damage, and we don't usually want to buy economy on this character, we just want to focus on our Thief Daggers, I'll still buy the Fertilizer. I will skip Compass, because I don't want to lower my critical hit damage, and I will buy critical hit chance, and I'll buy the Lure. We'll also buy Charcoal, 2 melee damage, and 1 regen for 35, is excellent. Feeling pretty good about this run so far. Our damage output is high enough that we're killing everything in one shot, even when we're not debuffing it most of the time. And that's exactly where you want to be. and we're getting towards 100% critical chance on our daggers. The main thing that we're missing right now is levels on our thief daggers, and armor and dodge. We've got some regeneration, and we'll get more as we buy more melee damage, of course. But armor and dodge are super important to this character because we want to tank through the damage that enemies are outputting. And in general on the Abyss map, armor and dodge are really important. I did mess up my movement there a little, took a little bit of extra damage, so that's going to cost me a little bit of money here, and cost me the kill on that loot alien because I wasn't able to chase it down. Note that picking up this 6 melee damage is worth 3 regeneration, so we're just getting that by default, and then we'll take more crit chance here. We will take the lure and the charcoal, and then roll again. Finally get to level up my daggers. The Cursed Jousting Lance, unfortunately, does not do much for us. That would be pretty nice, but it's not very good as is, and we'll take the dagger and the cake. I also want to boost my percent damage, which is very low right now, if possible. And I will lock this fish hook, because any cursed items we can get are going to be super valuable, and go to the next wave. So we want to be killing, ideally what we want is for our harpoon to hit the high health enemies so that we kill them faster. And then we don't really care if it hits the lower health enemies. So we just want to make sure it hits things like those loot aliens, things like this walrus we want to make sure we're debuffing, and then we kill them as quickly as possible. Our bonus crit damage is plenty to kill the weaker enemies. I'm going to make my way down to the left side here and kill that tree. Lumberjack shirt, pretty good for this character as well, because, of course, trees die slower than they do for normal characters. I had to regen for a bit because I took a bunch of extra damage. Then I'm going to manually target that loot alien to pull it in with the harpoon and take it out with the debuff. I really like the play pattern of pulling the enemy to me and then taking it out when it's vulnerable. I think that's super fun. Take the alien tongue here. We'll definitely take range and attack speed. Range is quite good for Thief Dagger because it's a low range weapon by default. This is an interesting one. Melee damage, 4 melee damage and 2 regen is awesome, but we have negative percent damage, so I am going to take the percent damage there. That could be a mistake, honestly. I'm not, like, convinced that that was the right play because melee damage is so good, but I really do want to make sure my percent damage is positive. Take the fish hook. Alien Baby is great for this character if you need the max HP, which we do right now, because this 10% enemy health is additive. So enemies currently have plus 250% health. This goes from 250 to 260, so it's really not increasing enemy health that much. And we get 15 HP, so this is a place where this item is actually very good. Saltwater, this is all stats we want, so of course we'll grab it. I'm going to lock the beanie here to go with my fishhook and then roll. I will also lock this baby gecko. I don't really want the gummy berserker. 5 attack speed would be nice, but we can't afford to reduce armor when my armor is negative. I'm going to roll because we have fishhook, so I was hoping to lock another relevant item and see if we could get something cursed. Unfortunately, we didn't find anything, but I think it was worth speculating 9 materials on potentially finding something to curse with fishhook. When you have fishhook, you should roll more aggressively and try to lock items more aggressively, because cursed items are so incredibly valuable. It's worth spending a lot of money just to try to get them to show up. You can see here that any enemy that we debuff dies really fast, but we're not losing clear speed because we're using the harpoon compared to another weapon. Maybe a shotgun would help clear things a little faster. But most enemies that we need debuffed are just getting debuffed by the harpoon gun anyways. It'll be better, too, if we get a leveled up harpoon, because that will pierce through more enemies and give us even more debuffs spread across the map. I will take the plant. Regen stacks super well with itself, so the more regeneration we get, the better. And then here we will take 3 armor. Playing at 0 armor on the Abyss is sheer madness, so we're just going to go ahead and grab that. I would also really love the move speed, but the armor is more important here. Sadly, nothing got cursed here, so I will take the beanie. I'm actually not going to take the gecko. I wanted it when it was cursed, but we're not really leaving materials on the ground, especially because I do have this alien tongue. So I would take this if it had gotten cursed, but as a non-cursed gecko, I'm not going to grab it. Also, not going to spend 53 on 3 regeneration. I would rather just get that from increasing my melee damage. We will combine here and buy the Thief Dagger and the Lost Duck, and then roll. And I have 18 regen, so I think I can afford to buy Weird Ghost. I'll buy Duct Tape as well. I'm going to buy Plant. It's such an efficient way to buy regeneration. It's much more efficient than Mushroom that I think it's worth buying here. But I will lock the Mushroom, because if it gets cursed, I'll definitely buy it. Same with the Injection. Handcuffs I won't buy even if it gets cursed, because 45 is too low to lock my max HP at. Obviously, 8 melee damage, or even more if it got cursed from the Fishhook, would be amazing, but we just can't afford to lock our HP this low. As always, I sort of scared myself because I totally forgot I had bought the Weird Ghost and then spawned in with no health. Then the screen goes dark and it's spooky. But we're now in really good shape, I would say. Our damage output is great. Our crit chance is getting towards 100%. We're not at 100% yet, but we're getting there. And of course, as we level up our daggers as well, they get more crit chance. So if we find more weapons, we'll get to 100% faster. We've got 20 regen, which is pretty good. That'll be enough to keep us alive against most elites. So this run on the diver is going very, very well. And like back off. Harpoon does have a minimum range, so if an enemy is right next to you and hasn't gotten debuffed yet, you do have to back off from it and then sort of manually target it, like we're doing with that loot alien, to make sure that we apply the debuff before we kill it. We'll take so that we can kill it. I'll take the whistle here. I'm gonna take 15 luck. I could also just take 8% damage, but it's a level 3 upgrade. And then here, I could reroll. If we find any melee damage, it's like better than this 4 regeneration. I could also just take 6 HP. I think I'm going to reroll here. I'm really looking for armor. I wouldn't mind starting to build dodge. I'd love attack speed or crit chance, but percent damage is probably the #1 thing we would pick up. So other than like melee damage. So very happy to find a 12% damage there. I'll take the injection. I will not buy the mushroom because it didn't get cursed. And then we will roll here. Mastery is like the perfect find for us, giving us a bunch more damage on our weapons and 3 more regeneration. I will also buy the propeller hat, and we will upgrade our harpoon gun to level 3, so it gains additional piercing. Buy a thief dagger. Nuclear launcher is kind of interesting. This could apply the debuff to a whole lot of enemies all at once. Again, I'm going to pass on anything that's not a harpoon gun, just to show you that you don't need to find specific weapons in order to win with this character. But nuke launcher, I haven't had the opportunity to try that, but I bet it's really good on this guy. We're going into wave 10, so I can afford to buy another weird ghost. Bone dice. Do I want the bone dice? We do need percentage damage, and my max HP is pretty good. Bone dice is typically fairly inefficient, but this character just wants as much damage as it can get, so I'm going to buy the bone dice and hope that we get some lucky triggers before we go too much further. I will take the recycling machine. Metal is quite painful because we lose crit chance on it, but it does give us a bunch of other stats that we need, so I think we still have to buy it. And I'm going to lock this energy bracelet. I would buy it if it got cursed. I might even buy it if it doesn't get cursed, because 5% crit chance, and remember we have increased 25% increased crit chance modifiers, so this will be worth 5%, and this will be minus 5%. 5% increased crit chance is really good for this character. And Fishhook just means you want to lock stuff, even if it's sort of marginal. I'm going to drink some water and then go to wave 10. All right. So you can see, because we have all this melee damage, we're regenerating just fine off of the weird ghost. I say this in a lot of my videos, but one principle that you should, like one item you are probably underbuying is weird ghost. It's a very efficient way to buy health, and the downside is negligible on most characters. Don't be scared. In general, good advice for playing this game and all games is don't play scared. Play to win, don't play not to lose. It will give you a much better yield overall, because you will be making plays that have high upsides, rather than just not trying things because you're afraid to lose or afraid to feel bad if they go wrong. Taking risks is good, and humans are naturally risk averse, so you have to make yourself take additional risks, at least in video games where the risks don't matter. Because your brain is wired to make you not want to take risks, you will need to force yourself to do that in order to be taking an appropriate level of risk. I'm going to take +2 armor here, and we will go ahead and upgrade our harpoon gun to level 4, so now it pierces through 5 enemies, slows enemies in a radius. We're going to buy all of these items here. Sadly, none of them got cursed, but I do think that the energy bracelet is worth it, just because critical hit is so good. Here, so this is a really interesting one. We could buy coupon and then buy all these things for less money, but I'm actually going to buy the night goggles because I think the crit chance is worth more than these other items would be. Is that right? I guess we get all 3 of the other items, so we're getting 12.5% crit chance as opposed to just under 20%. We're not getting range, but we then get the coupon discount and we level a thief dagger. So I think the other 3 items together are worth more than the night goggles, but it's kind of close. I will then re-roll and see if we can lock anything here. Celery tea, unfortunately, we don't want to increase enemy health on the elite wave. On any other wave, it's similar to the alien baby. The relative increase in enemy health is not that high, so celery tea is very good for this character. But on an elite wave, we don't want to do it. So we're going to lock the night goggles here and then go to wave 11. And I think we, on average, make more money this way just because we saved some money already and we get to upgrade our dagger. But, and lose like 5% crit chance. I'd have to do a lot of math to determine whether that averaging is correct. But I think buying the 3 items there. There's also the consideration that we could have left 3 items locked for our fishhook, guaranteed, if I'd only bought the night goggles. So that would make us more likely to find a cursed item next wave. So maybe that tipped the balance, and I should have bought the night vision goggles, actually. Just so we would guarantee having 3 relevant items to lock in the shop and potentially curse. That was a really interesting shop. It's always interesting when you get those decisions where you're not sure if you've made the right one. You can see at this point we've snowballed our character ahead pretty far. We've bought so much melee damage and armor and stuff that we are able to just tank most incoming enemies because we have 24 regeneration and we have 9 armor. So we're just able to stay alive against most incoming damage. I'm going to start building dodge here. I think we do want to start building dodge. All right, never mind. I made the perfect decision because we got the night goggles cursed, which is exactly what we wanted to get. So that gets us to 83% and instantly makes us have 100% crit chance with all of our daggers. So genius decision by me, if I do say so myself. Then I'm going to buy these 2 and then roll. With 48 luck, the pearl is a little more interesting. I think what I'm going to do is lock the pearl, buy the gambling token because it can make me a little more resilient against the elite. And then I'm going to roll twice here. We don't need the insanity because our crit chance is already high enough to crit on every attack. And I will then be able to lock a tree as well as this pearl. And maybe we get some more cursed items. We now have the harpoon gun to debuff the boss and a bunch of damage from our daggers, so we should be able to kill the elite quite quickly. Go get the debuff on it and then start plonking it with some damage here. Need to make sure to back off of it if the debuff ever wears off. We want to make sure it's always got the shiny range damage debuff on it. I then manually fired in exactly the wrong direction to reapply it. So, you know, you don't have to be good at video games to win video games. But we killed that boss very, very quickly because we focused so heavily on building damage, and because the Thief Daggers have snowballed our economy ahead of where every other character would be, as well as the free stats that we get just from being the diver in the first place. So that's the first major test for the build passed with flying colors. We were able to easily demolish the elite, and are now continuing to farm up these waves. Every enemy that we kill is worth a lot of extra money because we have 100% crit chance and thief daggers. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, I'll definitely take the exoskeleton. This is a bunch of stats that we want, so we're very happy with that. More HP is good here. I definitely want attack speed. Our attack speed's kind of low, so pretty happy to increase that. Sadly, neither of these got cursed. I'm going to buy the pearl just because I like pearl. It's a fun item. It's not an efficient item here, but if we get a lot more luck, it might be good. And if we happen to get lucky and find one in a crate, then I'll feel very smart. But in general, I think you should actually avoid buying this item in the shop because it will just not pay off in terms of the amount of damage it gives you in a reasonable amount of time. It's similar to Bone Dice, where you can see we're getting 5% damage and have lost 1 max HP, so it's like worse than an injection would be still, and this is several waves later. Pearl is a lot like that. It takes a long time for this to pay off. If you look at how powerful it is on wave 20, it will look like it's been good, but it takes so long to get to that point that I think it's usually not efficient to buy these items. On this character, I think the Bone Dice was correct, because we benefit from any damage so heavily. But the Pearl, I think, probably still wasn't. I just like that item. I'm going to take the fish hook here, of course, and then... This is interesting. If I buy the Shady Potion, I can lock the metal detector, or I can do the other way around. I think we're going to buy the metal detector, lock the Shady Potion, and do a reroll, and see if we can find anything good here. We have no increased consumable healing, but I would buy the alien worm if it got cursed, so I'm just going to go ahead and lock it for my double fish hook. Now that we have 2 fish hooks, we really want to lock things aggressively. I got a question on one of my recent videos where someone was like, what do you mean when you say do something aggressively? And I guess that is kind of jargon from like poker or gambling games. When you do something aggressively, it means to do it more frequently than you would normally. So to prioritize performing that action more heavily than you would otherwise. Not do it angrily. This is a great wave for us because there's so many enemies. Of course, this character does really well with horde waves because we're a thief dagger build, so horde waves help us make a ton of money. Take the small fish for more damage. Here, I'm going to just take the dodge. I think we want to start building dodge up. Sadly, the alien worm didn't get cursed, so I'm not going to buy it. The cursed book I will buy, though, because spending 29 just for 1 curse, even if the engineering isn't useful, is very good. It also gives us some equity if we happen to find Fairy later on. Roll here and buy the beanie. We will take wheat just for the 2 melee damage. 200 for 4 melee damage and 2 regeneration is fine. It also does give us some harvesting. The harvesting's not that relevant this late, but this is still a totally reasonable exchange just because it gives us some defensive and offensive stats. Bloodleech we're going to pass on, though. We would much rather buy items that increase our damage output and also give us regen, rather than buying ones that just give us regen. Here we will definitely take the Cursed Thief Dagger. This is awesome, and we get to level it up right away, combining it with our level 1. The Spider I will definitely buy if I curse it, and I'll buy it anyways probably, but we'll be very excited to buy it if we curse it. Snail, I don't think we need on this character, really. Enemy movement speed is not an issue for us. I would rather focus on things that increase our damage output. I will take the Corrupted Shard. Do I want this Scar? We have no increased XP gain. It is pretty late, though. Will I get an additional level from the Scar? I think we won't, so I'm going to pass on Scar here. Just reroll and see if we can lock some stuff. And we found actually 3 good items to lock, which means that our double fish hook is very likely to give us a cursed item. So that's an awesome find. Let's see how fast we kill this elite with the range damage debuff on it. Making sure to stay far enough away that the harpoon hits it, and then we can continue to stab it. And it dies very, very quickly. That cursed walrus did not get hit by the harpoon, so it's dying a little bit slower. I've told this joke in many videos, but Cursed Walrus remains an excellent name for a band. Actually, that's not even a joke, that's just true. Cursed Walrus would be a sick name for a band. I'm now starting to take a couple more hits than I would like. I'm getting a little bit lazy, honestly, with my dodging, because we're so far ahead. So I need to be a little careful there. I actually cost myself like 100 materials by dodging poorly in Wave 14, just because the character is so strong. But we do only have 22 regen, so my healing could be a little better. Take the extra stomach here, that's awesome. We have 11 armor. Do I want just 5% attack speed off the Gummy Berserker? I think I'm going to recycle that. I don't want to reduce my armor. Here, we have plenty of move speed, and we could take luck. That's also 1% damage, but I think we can do better. I no longer need to buy max HP because we found that extra stomach. That's going to be all the max HP we need. Alright, do I take 2 armor here, or do I go with 20 luck? I guess I'll go with 20 luck. So re-rolling there just got me 5 extra luck. We did get 2 cursed items off of our fish hooks, so very, very happy to see that, and we will take both of them, of course, and then we'll buy all of these, and then reroll. Cursed decomposing flesh, yeah, I'll buy that, and then I will lock these items as well. Sniper gun's interesting for this character, so it is a precise weapon, meaning that it gets the bonus critical hit damage. The actual damage of the weapon doesn't do anything, but the additional projectiles scale with range. So if you have found a lot of range, the sniper gun can give you a bunch of damage from the bonus weapon spawns for the diver, and is kind of a fun weapon, especially if you were going into like endless mode. Rerolling there with only 1 slot, I don't think was worth it. I'm just gonna go to the next wave. Piggy bank, if you curse it, is often pretty good, but on wave 15, I still don't think it's worth it. Cursed Piggy Bank does pay off very, very quickly, but we're already on wave 15, so it would be a pretty... even if it got cursed this next wave, it's unlikely to give us an economic benefit before the end of the game. You can see here, our damage output is tremendous, so we're just killing everything super quickly. And it doesn't matter whether we debuff it, we're still just killing it really fast, which is the goal of this character. You really want to get to the point where you just don't need the ranged damage debuff. We could actually sell the harpoon, except that we want it to kill the bosses rapidly. That's what it's for us at the moment. Here, we will take additional melee damage and regeneration. I'm going to recycle the wheelbarrow. We don't need the crit chance, although it would be nice to have, but let's roll. And I'm going to take 4 regen here. 10 attack speed, also very tempting, but we saw in a couple waves ago my healing definitely needed some help. So I can just take regeneration now. It's less efficient than buying melee damage, of course, but we just need a critical mass of healing. I'm going to buy the decomposing flesh. Obviously, the lifesteal is not particularly helpful, but 80 for 2 curse isn't a bad deal. Regardless, and it gives us potentially some additional lifesteal. Not getting HP when we level up is just not a big deal. Let's reroll here and reroll again. Cursed hiking pole is a fun item because this just boosts your range dramatically. If we had taken this a long time ago and then found that sniper rifle, we could use the cursed hiking pole. Sorry for the cut in the video there. Just gonna keep re-rolling. I'm trying to record a lot of videos in a day so that I'll have like a stockpile for like the holidays later this month. But my voice is still a little strained from being sick last month, so just had to cut the video to rest for a bit. Alright, let's go to the next wave. We're leaving these 2 items locked because we would happily buy either of them. if they got cursed. Actually, I'm going to lock the harpoon gun as well, because I would swap to a cursed harpoon gun. I should remember to do that also. Go ahead and obliterate these things as soon as they spawn. We have enough attack speed also that our harpoon gun now just goes off very frequently and kills, lets us kill everything super fast. Walk over here and kill this tree. Another reason that Lumberjack shirt is good on this character is it stops you from having to actually walk to the trees to kill them, because your harpoon gun can get it. And the range on that thing is massive, so you don't have to actually go to the trees if you have Lumberjack shirt. Otherwise, of course, you'll never kill trees without getting there, so Lumberjack shirt, very high tier item for this character. Another extremely top tier item for this character is Baby with a Beard, because the projectiles off of that scale with ranged damage, so they're going to apply the ranged damage debuff to enemies. That means that every enemy you kill spawns a projectile, which then causes another enemy to get the debuff, and then they die faster. Wow, we really hit the jackpot on curses here. So interestingly, the cursed harpoon gun, I thought it would gain additional piercing, but it does not gain additional piercing. So I don't know if the level 2 cursed is actually that much better than the level 4. It also doesn't gain additional, it's not better at its attack speed either. I'm going to go ahead and sell this and buy the cursed one. We can upgrade to a level 4 later, just because I like having cursed items. But it's not as much better as I thought it would be. Cacti Club, another item that can spawn ranged projectiles, and these will apply the debuff as well. So this is another item that's worth considering. But we'll just take the Lumberjack shirt. I'll take the Riposte. The actual Riposte retaliation damage isn't good, but remember, this is just more damage and regeneration, so any melee damage that you find is just good on this character. Take a Dangerous Bunny here and do a reroll, and then, yeah, I will definitely take both of these. We currently have -6 knockback, so I will buy Coil if it gets cursed, but not if it doesn't, but we'll lock it just in case it does, because we have double Fishhook. Going ahead and killing the elite incredibly quickly because of the massive damage output of this character. You can see I'm not that worried about optimizing my extra stomach HP income. We'll get some at the end of the wave just from the materials or the consumables that we pull in. But mostly extra stomach is fine if it gives you 20 or so HP. That will be all the HP you ever need. And then you can just focus on building damage and regeneration. I think people get too worried in general about optimizing things like that mostly don't matter, like ensuring that they're stepping on the consumables while at full health during the wave to make sure that they get the extra stomach HP. But the only important health point is the last one, so you just need enough that you don't die before you can heal back to full. I'll take, of course, the big arms. That's an amazing find for us. And let's take the Peacock just for fun. It's a little bit late for it to give us that much, but it will probably be worth one additional level, which is some extra stats. And it's just fun to flex on the game when we're this strong. Go ahead and take some percentage damage there. The Coil, unfortunately, did not get cursed, but we will take the Thief Dagger. I'm going to go ahead and level up this cursed Thief Dagger and buy the level 1 one. Buy the improved tools, and we'll buy Kraken's Eye to give us more curse. Level 2 dagger, so we can go ahead and combine, and now we have a level 4 cursed dagger, which is great. And then we will take this. The Seashell, this is pretty fun with the harpoon gun. It's going to add a lot of extra projectiles to our harpoon gun, so we're going to take the Seashell, especially if it gets cursed. And then now we can level up our cursed harpoon gun, so that'll make it attack a little faster and pierce more enemies. We currently have 22 movement speed, so I'll lock the wings and try to curse it, but we're happy either way. And again, all of these items we'll buy if they get cursed. The Seashell I'm going to buy regardless, just because it'll be really fun to debuff more enemies. At this point, though, we are strong enough that we can just do things that seem fun. As you can see, we are hitting enemies for 4,000 damage and attack. So we don't have, so even with the increased enemy health, we're just not in a position where we have to worry that much about what we buy exactly, because we've navigated the difficult part of the run. If you make it past the first elite on the diver, you should be so strong that the rest of the run is I don't want to say trivial, you can still lose it, but much easier. Thief Dagger is so good at snowballing your economy, and the diver gives you so many free stats that we're just so massively ahead of where other characters would be at this point in their economic progression. Very happy to take the charcoal here, because the cursed charcoal is perfect for us. We'll take some dodge, take some more armor so that we don't die. Nice, we get the seashell. So now this triggers every third projectile, because it's cursed, and that's pretty fun. Take the alien magic. I'll buy weird food as well, and I'll leave the wings locked to see if we can get a cursed one. Cursed pearl would be kind of fun as well, so we'll do that. And then let's roll again. Nothing here that we want. Going to wave 19. You can see I'm re-rolling very aggressively because we have double fishhook. I wouldn't roll quite that frequently. If we only had the one fishhook, I probably wouldn't have spent 40 on re-rolling with only 2 weapon slots. But with double fishhook, any item we lock is worth, on average, something like 300 materials, because the chance of getting it cursed is so valuable. So with a 40% chance, we have like a huge amount of expected value from locking items, so it's worth re-rolling to find anything that you want to lock. 300 is overstating it a little bit, but it's a huge amount of bonus materials that we get when an item's cursed, because cursing an item usually effectively doubles its value, and with a 40% chance, that means that anytime we are spending less than 40% the cost of the item on finding it and locking it, we're gaining that much in expected value. We're making an expected value profit. I'm going to recycle the snail. We don't really need to reduce enemy movement speed. We'll take a little bit of bonus damage here, and then sadly nothing got cursed, but we will just buy all of these items. Coupon will not pay for itself by the end of the run, so we'll pass on it. Roll here, take a broken mouth. I will roll again. Just looking for more damage, ideally. Increasing enemy damage is pretty dangerous on this character, so I would usually avoid buying Starfish, because you will take hits. When enemies aren't debuffed by the range damage debuff, you will sometimes get hit by them. So you do have to be a little bit careful when you are buying things that increase enemy damage. We have 130 max HP, so I don't really need the acid or the spicy sauce here. We'll take the tree because it could maybe help me heal. Cursed Thief Dagger is a nice one, so let's go ahead and combine and buy another cursed weapon. And the Sad Tomato would be good. I don't think we want to start the next wave at 1 HP. We probably could. We would probably win with the Cursed Weird Ghost. But it would be kind of embarrassing to throw this run at the last minute, so we're going to avoid doing that. Jerky, of course, would also be good. Let's go to wave 20. See how fast we kill these elites. And there's one down. And then let's make sure that we get the debuff on the other one. And go ahead and just spin in circles around it until it is dead. So that's the diver. You can see how consistently you can win with that character just by focusing on building up your critical hit damage and your economy using the incredible amounts of free stats that this character gives you. Take a look at our economy items here. We got 132 healing from the cute monkey, so that was pretty nice for us. We actually didn't get that many economy items early because we didn't buy economy early. But the early cursed mushroom was pretty good, just increasing our curse. These claw trees are great. Perfect item for the character, gives you all the stats that you want. Alien baby was a big find for us that was worth a lot because we, at the time, needed the max HP, and the penalty on this character is extremely negligible. Fishhook, it doesn't show you how many items we got cursed off of this. It shows us our pity bonus, but won't show us how many items we got. But I think we got, like, 5 or 6 cursed items from the fishhook. So, of course, they were incredibly valuable. Recycling machine was only worth 120. That means we did fairly well in the items we found in crates and didn't have to recycle any of them, but this is good insurance anyways. 13 bonus damage and 5 lost HP from the bone dice. So we ran wildly under average on the bone dice. They cost us a ton of HP for not that much return. But the 13 damage is still pretty useful for this character. Coupon worth 242. The night goggles, cursed night goggles are pretty fun. 35 extra HP from the extra stomach. And that's it. All right. My friends, I hope that you enjoyed this look at the diver, and I hope it helps you. I know some people were having trouble with this character because it does require you to think differently about the game, but with this strategy you should be able to win very, very consistently, because it doesn't require you to find any specific weapons in the shop or do anything different from what the character wants you to do, which is just build damage, build regeneration, and kill enemies for money. As always, of course, if you have enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out a ton with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And, of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato guides and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, my friends, and I will catch you next time.